Why, in my opinion, did KEF shoot themselves in the foot by releasing this model? How comfortable is it to use the KEF LSX II LT in near field for gaming? Can these little ones compete with more expensive soundbars in movies and music? And finally, who would buy active speakers for 100,000 rubles so small when in theory you could assemble a decent stereo system or even a home theater? In my childhood, I really loved playing computer games. I remember during the Doom era, we would connect our PCs and start a co-op playthrough sitting in the same room. There were no special gaming devices whatsoever. In 1998, StarCraft was released and it was a revolution in every sense. Blizzard provided the opportunity to play online through Battle.net. But again, the gaming industry was only in its infancy. Then came Counter-Strike 1.6, in which I spent days on end and was the team captain. We tried to participate in all the city championships back then. But even in the 2000s, it was impossible to find decent gaming keyboards and headphones. Only Logitech started releasing gaming mice like the MX series. By the way, their indestructible MX310 is still somewhere at my home and in working condition. And as for gaming acoustics, one couldn't even dream of it. That class simply didn't exist. It's a different story now. Young gamers have everything their heart desires. They'll even sell you a computer cyber station like the Unicorn, if you have the money. Why am I getting nostalgic about the past, friends? It's simple. I got my hands on the KEF LS2 Lite version. These little guys right here. When I studied them in detail and carefully, I realized, almost teared up, remembering what I thought were top-notch genius speakers from my childhood. How terrible my time was in terms of gaming sound and how lucky today's gamers are. This is not just a portable hi-fi stereo system for listening to music or watching movies. It's a powerful gaming musical instrument and practically the only choice for gamers like me who fundamentally don't play with headphones yet want to achieve the most neutral, punchy, realistic, and very importantly, fast sound. But let's go through everything in order. The KEF LSX II are the smallest and most affordable active speakers from the famous English brand, featuring such a cool design. The distinctive signature style, whose image was created by the rather well-known industrial designer Michael Young, who naturally lent his elevated British touch to the uber acoustics of the LS60, which, in terms of appearance, in my opinion, is the benchmark for active systems. By the way, I looked at his other works. I really like the whiskey sets and vinyl stands. Unfortunately, I have recently given up these two harmful habits, having stopped drinking by alcohol and listening to analog recordings. Therefore, fortunately, I won't need his unique devices with their precise design. You must agree they fit perfectly into any interior, nothing to add or subtract. And for my dark green Soviet radiators, well, you must agree, they are made for each other. And I don't care that they don't have the fabric structure like the regular LSX, which cost a whole 40,000 more. Our heroes abroad have a price of $1,000. That's almost the same. 100,000 rubles as in the Russian retail market, which is once again extremely pleasant because you get acoustics with an official warranty, just like in KEF's homeland. This is a great rarity. Usually everything is much more expensive here considering the shipping, taxes and other commercial expenses. I don't understand why the marketers allowed this model to be released. After all, there's simply no point in buying the regular LSX now. There is no difference in sound. They really play the same. It's amazing how far the hi-fi industry has advanced. Well, it's clear that the 11th generation UniQ aluminum tweeter at 19mm has always excellently depicted the soundstage. But the fact that the aluminum mid-range, low-frequency mini driver at 11.5 centimeters delivers bass so convincingly is, of course, nonsense. I'm sure if we traveled back to the 60s in a time machine, bringing our heroes with us and played the Rammstein track Deutschland, the audiophiles of the past simply wouldn't believe that such a sound pressure could come from these small enclosures. Don't believe it? Come to my showroom, friends. We'll turn it on, set it up, compare it with large acoustics, and you'll be shocked. I guarantee it. It's clear that inside these enclosures it's exclusively Class D, but they are honest British 100 watts. How comfortable is it to play on this acoustics, friends? I'll tell you this, I played a couple of rounds in Counter-Strike, played StarCraft 2 reminisced about the past. By the way, Battle.net is blocking us now. Can you imagine? They don't let ordinary Russian gamers play with their buddies from Europe. So there you have it. Very cool, realistic and punchy sound. That's exactly what you need. And the most interesting part is when you play Counter-Strike, these speakers are really enough because you can determine where your enemy is, as it feels like you're playing with headphones. Regarding comparisons with more expensive sound bars, friends, you know, I'm generally against these long panels because unfortunately the soundstage on them is non-existent. You don't get stereo width even in long sound bars. Even if you add a subwoofer to them, it's still not the same. That's why I always prefer classic stereo. And if you can complement them with a subwoofer, that's even better. Although again, it's not for me because I always hear that the bass machine can't keep up with such small speakers like the KEF ones, but it's very difficult to match a subwoofer with them. Unless you get their branded models, which is with 2 drivers. So if perhaps there is an opportunity, and there should always be an opportunity to set them up because they are very small. Always get a stereo pair, place them at a distance of up to 3 meters because, well, 5 meters. You will lose the soundstage, it will collapse in the middle, so 2 to 3 meters is the ideal placement, and you will get maximum immersion, even in movies, friends. Yes, indeed. Therefore, they are suitable for music, and for games, they provide an incredible thrill. Especially if you set them up in such a near field position with your computer, like, I don't know, a Mac. Or, by the way, you can also play StarCraft quite well on a Mac. And please, you get truly superb sound. Really, it's very cool. Many criticize this acoustic system for not having an analog, friends, but essentially you don't need it here. Why? Because there is optical, although overall it's the most useless type of connection. The most important thing here is HDMI, friends, and wireless functions. You can easily connect to your TV and everything will be really great. Don't mix up the USB, because when I asked my assistant to set up and connect these speakers, he plugged it, friends, into the top port. The speakers started updating. Yeah, it updated the main speaker. And then everything froze on, updating the second satellite. It was extremely strange because I couldn't understand what was wrong, why everything was glitching. Naturally, I started blaming the app. From KEF, which by the way has a 2-star rating on Google Play. That's a very low rating, although I don't agree with it as it worked quite stably except for this little issue, but again, it's not related to the app. So I reconnected it to the correct port. And friends, not everything worked immediately, of course. I had to restart the device, but everything worked out. They updated quite quickly. Again, when they were updating, I turned them off. Let's say it wasn't on the fly. There were no bugs, nothing crashed. So this is a very user-friendly device, designed by engineers from all perspectives. Even if you give it to a grandmother, she most likely won't damage it in any way. Many people don't like that. There's a separate cable and they can't work wirelessly. Friends, you understand that? Understand this. Firstly, they are cheaper than the regular version, that's one. And two, you don't need to additionally power this little speaker from 220 volts. You just connect it with a USB Type-C and everything works. But I repeat, they sound the same. I didn't notice any difference from the regular ones, like the KEF LSX, therefore, this is a very cool offer. I'm the kind of person who always look for flaws in products. Well, that's my job. So what I didn't like is that there's no way to adjust without a remote. At least I couldn't find one. I tried pressing here, poked my finger here, but the volume didn't change at all. For that, you needed to use either the remote or your phone, Bioman. By the way, the remote is quite decent. The only thing is, if it were made of metal, it would be an absolute must-have. Now, let's also take a look at the app. Note that with the native Cubase app, You can stream your favorite songs directly to the speakers. That's really cool. And you don't necessarily have to use the KEF app. Here's what the native app looks like. Take note of the services we have. Amazon, Deezer, absolutely useless. Again, Cubase, which you can log into right here. Although I think there's no point, because it's better to use the native Cubase, does naturally Tidal, which now doesn't work for us, and you need to use a VPN, and accordingly the selection of inputs: Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, TV, optical, and USB. And if you have a music server at home, then no problem. It should detect it, see it, and you can enjoy your favorite tracks chopped remotely, so to speak. Naturally, I don't turn on any equalizer, and I don't recommend you do either. But what's also interesting are the settings, friends, because you can easily set when your speakers will turn off. You can also set which device will wake up in your KEF speakers. This is also, by the way, a very useful feature. If you mix up the speakers, again, you can use the app to correct the situation. It's clear that the programmers cared about us and really tried to make the best possible app. It's unclear, seriously, it's unclear why it has such a low rating on Google Play Market. In summary, who is this audio system for? Well, basically for everyone, absolutely everyone. If you have a small room up to 20 square meters, you listen to music, watch movies, play games, as I mentioned, and want to get a cool, high quality, maximum quality sound for a reasonable price, then this audio system is for you. Because I repeat, well, even I sometimes get lazy, not just to assemble some systems, but for example, at my parents' place, right? Well, a separate amplifier, speakers, wires, it's all complicated, friends. Well, it's not for everyone. But when you experience this kind of usability, namely you plug it into the network, connect it with one cable, and that's it. Your system really plays out of the box as well as possible. Moving to these complex systems is not very appealing. Well, honestly, I'm telling you, friends, just try it and that's it. And if these speaker systems also had a voice assistant like Yandex on board, yes, they would just be priceless. Because I repeat, I like Alisa, yes, but in terms of sound quality, even the Macs. Stations don't come close to anyone, friends, but unfortunately we don't have such sound technologies like the English do. We have military technologies, but not sound ones. I don't even know which is better. So, can I recommend them? Yes, absolutely, that's it. The main thing is to have a small room, Soku, and if you have a room of 30 square meters, the LS60, friends, will fully power it up. You will be shocked. That's how impressive they are.